This is the Giraffes Don't Eat Steak podcast, a show that brings you marketing stories, tips, hints, and much more. A treat for those who want to succeed in business or marketers who just want to learn.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I feel like I probably need a jumper like that because we've had 24 hours of rain, literally.
Wow. Is that to do with the hurricane in
Could be, we're not too far away from it, so it
Yeah, you're not.
could be something related. But that I saw it looks like it didn't cause as much damage as everybody thought it would do, which is really good news.
Yeah, it is. People expected a 3 and it was only a 1 or something, right?
Yeah. I also ordered a jiu-jitsu gi that's currently on its way to Florida to be flown here. I'm tracking it on FedEx, and I'm really glad because I was like, oh no, my gi might be delayed.
What's a gi? The outfit.
Oh, sorry, the jiu-jitsu clothes,
Yeah.
the uniform for
The
jiu-jitsu.
jumpsuit.
Well, it's not quite a jumpsuit, but sure, whatever,
It's
fine.
kind of like a jumpsuit.
It's like a karate outfit kind of
Okay.
thing, and looks like that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was very worried about the people in the hurricane, but I was
Oh,
also worried about my gi.
well, I hope it arrives.
Yeah. Um,
So what
yeah,
are we talking about today, Alex?
I wanted to talk about ad fatigue. So I just wanted
Mm.
to maybe play devil's advocate and talk about ad fatigue, and does it really exist, or is it that the advert that so ad fatigue generally, if for people who are not sure what that means, is that after a period of time your advert has become tired and people have got used to it and it's not working anymore. Basically, you're not getting any more responses. So we have a term for that, which is ad fatigue. So just to play devil's advocate on that and asking if it really exists, is the advert tired, or has it not properly answered the questions that you need to answer in order to have a good ad, which is displaying the pain point and the value to the customer and being in the right place at the right time with the right creative messaging and imagery.
Mm.
And if so, is maybe this statement could be true. Is ad fatigue real, or is it only marketers that get bored of the advert, not the customer?
Sure, there's a lot in there.
So can I just show you an example of one? And I'm 100% sure, and you know this advert. So this advert, if you've ever been on the London Tube, I guarantee you've seen this.
Well, you're going to have to describe the ad for our
I will.
listeners.
I will. I'll show it to you and describe it.
Okay.
So this is a supplement. It's called Floradix. It's like an iron supplement. It's for helping you if you're feeling tired. It's to help you have more energy. So I'm just going to show. Hang on one second. I need to remove
Disable your blur.
the blurry thing.
Yep. Okay.
So it's like an iron supplement. And it has a picture of a lady yawning on there. And yes, like a liquid supplement of iron just to help you with tiredness. Anyway, so this advert apparently has been in London in the tube for 15 years.
Wow.
15 years, and it's still there. Okay, I don't have the results of it, but one would assume that if it's been plastered around the tube, which is not a cheap medium to purchase for your advertising, the team at Floradix, they must have some kind of statistic saying that this is
It works.
bringing new customers and continuing with a positive ROI. And I think
Absolutely.
if you think about this advert, well, first of all, let's just think about where it is. It's on the tube, which a lot of people are using for commuting. So let's think you're doing your morning commute at 6, 7 a.m.
And are tired.
They are tired, and also after work when they're getting on the
Oh,
commute,
on the homeward journey, they're
on
tired.
they're tired on the way home. And some people are not just tired, just like, ugh, can't be bothered to go to work, which adds to the feeling of tiredness. And it's got this beautiful picture of a lady just yawning. Oh. And you can imagine when you're getting off the tube and you're also yawning, you look at the other person and go, oh, yeah, no, I completely connect with that right now. And then the big word, tired of being tired. And so it has tired in a big word, then of being in small letters, and then tired again with a question mark, with a big picture of a lady yawning, with a big block of red behind it, right in your face as you step off the tube. And
Yep.
and I don't know what the stats are, but I imagine there's millions of people on the tube every single day. And you're always getting new people who are starting to work, who, there's always new people coming to lunch. So you're getting a fresh,
Fresh eyes.
fresh load of people coming in. So this advert kind of begs the question of how true is the term ad fatigue? Is it purely because of the messaging time and place, etc., or does it exist? Or is this advert lucky? What do you think?
Well, I think you've picked a good advert because that is an example of. So the reason I would have said ad fatigue exists is when your audience has seen your ad. So there's say something in marketing we look at called frequency, which is the number of times someone has to see your message before they respond, and it differs. Television generally was 7, right? That was kind of our sweet spot number. They need to see your message
Yeah,
7 times. Maybe digital's less, etc. But when you've got a pool of audience that has seen it 7 times or 10 times and then stop responding, that for me is ad fatigue. The reason that one's doing really well is because of the freshness of the audience almost every single day.
yeah,
So therefore, it's the ad fatigue is audience is tired of the ad, which means it's the same audience. If the same audience was seeing that ad for 15 years, whatever it is, that then they would have stopped working. But it's a fresh audience seeing the ad,
yeah,
so hence no fatigue, right?
yeah. It's
Would you
probably a
agree with that?
combination of all. I do. I think that's probably the biggest factor, but I also do think, the messaging has to be absolutely on point with the audience at that time, etc., etc. But I completely agree with you, because let's take the example which I think you're talking about, is some adverts that we used to do for life insurance on some TV channels.
In
The
a soap opera, right? We
In
knew
a soap
soap
opera
operas
kind
were
of
our
way.
sweet spot, but it was the same people watching that particular soap opera every single day. So as we flighted the ad during that soap opera every single day, at some point that audience has seen it. And if they were going to respond,
Yeah,
they would have
they would have done
responded. And so the ones who haven't responded and are still seeing it are now bored of our ad, right? And probably use that time to go to the loo or make a cup of coffee or whatever because, oh, here's this ad again.
it. Yeah,
That's fatigue. But just back to this example, I think the messaging, all the stuff you spoke about, that is great about this ad, right? The imagery is really good and spot on, catching. The messaging is to point, talks to the exact pain point of the audience at those particular times. It resonates. But if that hadn't worked, the ad would never have worked, ever. So that's not even about fatigue. Fatigue is
yeah,
later on. So it would have been a dud ad from day one.
yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, it doesn't matter about the place of that,
No,
the kind of self-renewing audience. It just would never.
it
It
would
would
never
never.
have worked,
No.
which,
Yeah,
a good marketer would have taken it off straight away. So fatigue is where it works in the beginning and then stops working over time. And for me, that is usually about the audience because if it works in the beginning, your message worked, your all the other stuff would have worked, or else it would never have worked.
yeah,
Therefore, fatigue is just your audience. The ones that have any chance of responding would have responded already, and the rest of them are sick of it.
yeah.
Am I
No,
am I making sense?
I completely agree with you. I completely
And
agree.
and I think it's so interesting because a lot of people forget about the law of frequency when it comes
Mhm.
to any marketing. We give up too quickly, right? We're too eager for things to work straight away. Has to work. We want to put the ad out and suddenly 5,000 people must phone. Um, and actually, if you think about what you're doing with an advert, is you're raising awareness. Now, your audience may not even know they have that problem, right?
Yeah.
If they do, if you're lucky, right, and someone walks into that thing going, already thinking, I'm tired, I wish I had something that could help. Oh, look, there's something that can help. Buy, right? But that combination is very few. Most people are going to feel tired, then look going, oh, wow, that's how I feel. And so
Hmm.
it's the other way around. It's not, I have a problem, I need a solution. Oh, there it is. It's, oh, wait, that is how I'm feeling. Oh, yes, that could be a solution.
It's
So it's
because I
slightly
think we,
different.
yeah, and I feel like sometimes we all fall into a trap that we somehow believe, subconsciously believe that everybody is introspective and everybody is
Yes,
thinking really about how they're feeling and what that means and what they need. But I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people have no idea. Some people might just be like, oh, just in a bad mood, whatever, whatever. But do they know why they're
exactly.
in a bad mood? How many people do you know who are in a bad mood and they know why they're in a bad mood? You know, like just saying I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You know, you probably didn't just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. There's probably something going on that's made you that put you into a bad mood. And it's the same with, I guess it's the pebble in the shoe thing that you always
Exactly.
talk about. You notice it, you notice you're in a bad mood. You notice you've got a pebble in your shoe, but you don't really know what it is and why it's there.
Hence, you're not even looking for a solution yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So an ad with a solution has to talk to, like this one does really well. Tired? Are you tired? Yes. Oh, someone's yawning. Oh, wait, that's me. I'm yawning. Oh, here's a solution, right? So it's the person that's coming onto the tube is not going onto the tube looking for tiredness solutions. That's not the reason they're coming onto the tube. Whereas a person walking into a pharmacy could
Yeah,
be
yeah,
looking for a tiredness solution, right? But if you're getting on the tube, you're not getting on the tube looking for a tiredness solution. You're getting on the tube because you got to get from A to B and you just don't feel like doing it, right? Like, but then it resonates. So you need to repeat it because it's taking time to infiltrate going, wow, I'm tired. Then the next time you see it, yeah, I'm
yeah,
tired again. I'm still tired. Oh, then the next time you see it, maybe I must look that up because I'm still tired, right? Like it's because it's busy working itself through your brain until you finally go, yeah, you know what? Let me try this because every time I've
exactly.
seen this, I feel tired. Let me try this Floradex now, whatever it's called. And so that's why you have to keep going and not give up after. I mean, can you imagine if those people had stuck their ad up on the tube for 1 week and then gone, oh, well, we've got everyone now in?
Yeah,
They would have
yeah,
lost 15 years of revenue.
yeah. I mean, I actually feel like poor marketing team. They did such a good job. They don't need a job.
Mhm. Well, we hope they found a sweet spot with the tube, I agree, but they must be looking at other options, right? When you find one that works, leave that alone and explore alternatives. Because
Yeah, yeah,
what happens if COVID hits and then no one's on the tube? They've got to have a plan B, right?
yeah.
So
It's also an interesting one because it's a product marketing rather than a brand marketing because I
yeah,
believe that that's not the brand, that's just the product, isn't it? That's
yeah. But it's talking a pain point. It's really clever.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we used to do that as well, even with
Yeah,
some of the
pain
life
point.
insurance products, didn't we? We were talking about we didn't really focus on the company ever that
Ever.
much. We might have an end billboard or somewhere in kind of the legal part saying who we are, but we just talked about the actual product and
The
the
solution, the
pain
benefit,
points
the
and the benefits. Yeah,
the benefit that the person would be getting, right? Or that their loved ones would be getting, because in our case, life cover, you would not be around to benefit. So
yeah.
your loved ones would benefit, right?
There's also a really interesting topic to talk about is, um, I mean, if you have your brand and then you have the products under it, just really understanding what your strategy around what the pain points are and the solutions are, and if it makes more sense to push the product rather than the brand.
And again, it depends on the size of your budget, I'm going to say. Because if you're Coca-Cola, you don't need to go push Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Coke non-decaf. your brand is big enough that you don't need to go and do that, and you've got big spend, so you can just go and put a truck on with a Father Christmas and a Coca-Cola
Yeah.
bottle, and you're done, right?
Yeah. Sorry,
But
just
if you're
just closing my door. 1 second.
no
I'm back in.
problem.
Fine.
I mean, if you're selling, I don't know, homemade soap that you've made in your garage to your local community, your brand probably doesn't mean anything to anybody.
No, it
You
means
probably
absolutely
need to
nothing.
you need to talk about your soap, right? Like
Yeah.
the product and that it's maybe herbal, no preservatives, healthy, like that's the stuff you got to sell on. You can't come and buy Erica's Passion, or whatever it's going to be called, and expect everyone to know what it is and come running. So I think you need to think through carefully where you fit in that chain of
Mm.
spend and recognition, and then
Yeah.
everywhere in between. But back to the ad fatigue. Are there other reasons an ad could grow tired? I'm trying to think about it, other than the
Well, I
audience
mean,
running out.
there could also be political climate change, or I don't mean political, but
Yeah,
maybe sentiment change. The way I know if you've got loads of half-naked women, and then suddenly we're going into an era where that's actually not a big selling point anymore. It's more about
family values.
family values, sustainable values, etc., etc. And you could also some trends change really, really quickly as well, especially with
Yeah,
technology. Um, and the fatigue could also be just audience moving rather
yeah,
as well. But I think like what's the word, like political sentiment or something like that. I feel
yeah.
that can change quite quickly. And yeah, I think that can have effect on the longevity of of a particular advert messaging, etc., and even where your audience are.
So I'm thinking TV ads, we ran them for 3 to 6 months, right? That was kind of our time frame, because the audience that was going to buy they'd be done, right? They would have bought it, so the
Mm.
ones who are left won't buy it. So
Yeah,
so when we did TV advertising, that was ours, is we needed a fresh approach because we were still hitting the same people,
yeah,
but because it was a fresh message, we got another surge of
yeah.
respondents, right? Um, Boredom, do you think boredom? I'm trying to think of some of the, when I'm on the tube, some of the ads. But again, I'm not the target audience then, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, change your ad. And your question at the end was, is it the marketers who are bored? That's
Yeah,
100% yes. We are bored of seeing our own ads, right?
yeah, exactly.
Like, no, please, it's not us. And as we say, you're hardly ever your target market. So don't worry about what you think. Think about what everyone else. But quite often, some of those, tube messages, and I'm one of those who looks at them when I go, maybe because I'm in marketing, I'm eyes up looking at
Me
them,
too.
I want to know.
Yeah.
And some of them, like there's some at the moment which are anti-harassment. So
Hmm.
it's not really ads, but it's more about the network saying, please don't harass our staff, or sexual harassment's wrong,
Yeah.
or and you wonder if that hits home. Does someone look at that going, oh yeah, I'm so bad, I'm never gonna do that again, because they saw an ad in the tube? Or do you think it's about raising
No,
more?
I think it has kind of a halo benefit effect. I would read it, and I think that gives me the security to stand up to someone who's doing that to somebody else. You know,
Okay, that's a good point.
so it might not necessarily be only appealing directly to the people who do that, because let's be honest, the people who do that are probably assholes and just don't
Yeah,
really give a damn about those kind of things. But if you're getting the support of the majority, the crowd support, that makes you feel more confident and brave to battle the someone being an asshole, basically.
yeah,
You get
that's a
the
good point.
support.
Yeah. Any other reasons for ad fatigue?
Well, I think it's just a combination of everything. I mean, it's a combination of, is the message really portraying the value? Is the imagery really talking to the audience? Do they really relate to it? Is it on exactly at the right time on the right medium? I think all of those things, even if they're really good, but they're not exactly on point, you're kind of you're three-quarters
Borderline.
there, borderline. That will have an effect, and I think there's a combination of all of those things, and like what we were saying about societal sentiment is changing, etc., etc. So I think it can be a combination of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right about sentiment. I remember we did an ad for accidental death cover once in Turkey, I believe it was. But 2 days after the ad started running, we had to pull it because there was a major earthquake and people were
Mhm.
actually dying in accidents. And so it was inappropriate, right? It wasn't that the ad wasn't effective. It was just inappropriate for us to be talking about that in a salesy way while people were losing their lives, right? So it's also just being aware of that. Is that classed as ad fatigue? Probably
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I
Yes?
think so. I think so. I think it's yeah, it fell out of place.
Hmm. Yeah, that
Uh,
feels fatigue sounds like a runoff. It feels like it's a more drastic word. Whatever the more
yeah,
drastic word is. Fast fatigue.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. It just
But
suddenly jars. Just yeah.
yeah. Because, yeah,
But
fatigue
that's a really good
sounds
one.
like a tailoring off, doesn't it? It sounds like it
Yeah,
was working and then it tailors off. And the main thing for that is, well, you have to be able to track. You'll
yeah,
never know. You won't
exactly.
know anything if you're not tracking your response. And I mean, we can do a whole another episode about response tracking, right? Obviously, digital's much easier, but you have to be able to track the response in order to know that your ad is starting to suffer fatigue. Because
Yeah,
if you're
that's
not
true.
tracking, how do you know?
Yeah. Do you know what? Actually, I actually bought a packet of that Floradix once when I was
You
well,
did.
and yeah, and it did nothing.
Oh dear. Well, see, I didn't buy the Floradex, but I took iron tablets once, and actually it did give me a little kick. So
Yeah.
I was low on iron and I didn't even know it. So yeah, I suppose
Mm,
it depends. But I think like the other thing, if I think about those tubes, right? If you take the last tube out of Paddington to get home here, where I am in Oxford, number one, everyone on that's 11:30 is the last train out of Paddington.
mhm.
Everyone is drunk there. Like they're all drunk. It's standing room only. If you get a seat, you're lucky. And so that's not the right target audience. So it's definitely sort of the earlier ones, a little bit more sensible about getting home.
Yeah.
Than those who are crawling into the last train of the night because they don't want to sleep at the station.
I mean, I've fallen asleep on the train and ended up on the other side, on the end of the train line, like the last stop.
Set an
But
alarm on your phone. You see, you got to learn these tips. You set a little alarm on your phone. I've had to
I
do
also
that
did
a
that.
few
I also did that
times.
in Sydney when I went to Sydney with some friends, and we went out partying, and it was like, I don't know, it was the next day when we decided to get on the bus to go home, and the bus was like a loop from the city to where my friend lived, which is like out in the suburbs, goes back into the city. We got on the bus, and I actually remember my friend put on, because he lived in Sydney, he's like, I know how long exactly it is until my house. It's like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Put his alarm for 40 minutes. Of course, we just slept through the alarm. And then
Uh,
we bust up, we woke up, and we're still surrounded by skyscraper things. We were like, have we left yet? To the driver, he's like, yeah, we've been driving for like 2 hours. And we just wanted to, that was brilliant.
well,
Um,
you were not looking at any Floradix ads then, so
no, certainly not. But on that actually, why do you think they chose a woman for the ad? I wonder if what the reasoning is behind that physiological one. Maybe women need more iron than men generally.
That part is true, I think, if you just generally look at it. But also, when we had the same debate in ads, men generally, and we're generalizing, please, police don't get all uppity on here. Generally, men don't like coming across as weak, right? We had the same problem when we did a funeral scene. Whether you had the dad passed away and the mum crying over the coffin, or the mum passed away and the dad crying over the coffin, it didn't work, right? The ad did not resonate if it was the mum who passed. It worked if it was the dad who passed and the mum was crying, right?
Yeah.
And I think similarly, like a woman being tired, people are okay with, where generally, I don't know, it's just the brain thing, right? Like
Yeah. But
we
you're
should
right though, because it's
let's
like
contact them and ask if they tested, because that's
I'd
that's
love
how
to
you
know.
find out, right? You test it. We tested both scenarios in our funeral ads, and we found out, nope, it can never ever be the mum dying. It can't. Like it didn't work
Yeah.
ever.
I think that makes sense as well. I've seen quite a few male-based insurances, like life insurance, and I think like you've seen them in the market and then they've disappeared.
Then they disappear. They don't
They
stick
disappeared.
around.
And it's the same with what is it, testicular cancer?
It's the
You
woman who buy it for the guy, right?
Yeah, the man doesn't want to know. It's just like,
Doesn't want to know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But again, this is one of those things where it's changing over time. So
Mhm.
there's much more openness and awareness now than there was, even like mental health. World
Yeah,
Mental Health
definitely.
Day, talk about 10 years ago, it would never have been comfortable for men to talk about having mental health issues. We're now much more open, much more. So this is again an area of ad fatigue to be
Yeah,
aware of. Is there
yeah,
a shift in nuance, in culture, in openness, in what people are willing to talk about?
yeah,
Because then you should retest. You should,
yeah. I mean
in fact,
that's
Floradex, I think you should retest having a guy yawning on your ads and see if the response changes now, right?
yeah. Let's do that. Let's reach out to them. That's a good one. And you're absolutely right though. The stigma of men talking about things is absolutely changing.
Yeah.
A lot of the what do you call them, spokespersons for mental health charities and initiatives are now men, especially sort
Yep.
of famous sportsmen. They're being used as ambassadors for speaking up for men for mental health. And that's a really
But
good point. The last couple of years, that's changed massively.
and I mean, 10 years ago was unheard of, right? It was unheard of. It was very much a woman thing, right? Mental health and all that it was a woman's problem. And now look where
Yeah,
we are today. Very different. So it's about being aware of that.
yeah,
Right.
you're right.
Last tips to prevent ad fatigue, Alex. Whatever your ad, we've been talking about tube ads and TV ads, but anything, right? Whether you're doing Google ads or LinkedIn ads or whatever you're doing, the same applies. You need to think about your audience. And if your audience is refreshing constantly, good. You probably don't have to worry if the ad works in the first place.
Mhm.
But if it's the same audience, you may need to refresh. And it's just a refresh, right? It doesn't need to be a whole revamp unless it bombs completely, of course. What do
Yeah.
you think, Alex? What are your
Well,
tips?
I started the podcast off by just playing devil's advocate, but I'm going to jump back to the other side and I'm going to say that I do think ad fatigue exists in some sense of the word. I feel like there are obviously exceptions to the rule. Let's take the Floradix one, for example.
Yeah.
That is an exception to the rule, purely because just of the nature of the product, the time and the place, and they did to get the messaging and stuff right. But I think generally audiences audiences can change quite quickly, and also some of the targeting you're doing, you can reach that audience quite quickly. It's not always a self-renewing audience in that particular platform. So I do think it does exist, and I think, and to one of your other points, I think you just need to constantly track it, have your own understanding what your measurements are, at what point you're losing or hitting a negative return of ROI, and ensuring that you're being proactive to those measurements that you're reading from the tracking that you're doing, and make the appropriate changes to kind of refresh your advert, refresh your message, to reduce the so-called ad fatigue.
And I've just thought about another one as we wrap up, is your ad could start blending in. If someone sees your ad all the time, it could start blending in so they don't notice it anymore. So you can just change the color scheme, right? Just change the color scheme so that it looks new to the person, it catches the eye. So keeping a few versions of your ad to rotate is another way to avoid ad fatigue, right? Just maybe change the image, change the color scheme, change maybe the copy a little bit, and then just rotate. If it's working, keep going. You don't have to kill it. Just keep working, but rotate it so that it stays fresh for your audience.
Yeah, I love it. That's a good way to wrap it up.
Brilliant. And if you are the marketing manager at Floradex, we would love
please do reach
to
out.
talk about your results and how it's going. And if you ever tasted having a guy yawn, come on our podcast, come and talk to us about it. We would love to hear from you.
Awesome.
Well, that's a good episode, Alex. You have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
You too. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That wraps up this episode of Giraffes Don't Eat Steak. Thanks for joining us. I hope you found value in our discussion and got some new ideas to apply to your own business. Tune in next week for another round of marketing insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you listening. Catch you next time on Giraffes Don't Eat Steak.